You know, there are stories you tell around a campfire. And then there are stories that made educated adults afraid of the dark. The story I'm going to tell you today is unique. It's not just a scary tale. This is a case that was investigated by hundreds of people, including a future president of the United States. This is a story documented in newspapers, books, and court records. I'm talking about the Bell family of Tennessee. In 1817, they encountered something so inexplicable that their farm became a pilgrimage site for thousands of people. This story lasted for years, and it ended with the death of the family patriarch. And it was a death attributed to a ghost. Yes, you heard that right. John Bell Sr. is considered the first person in U.S. history whose death was officially attributed to supernatural forces. And today, I'm going to tell you this story in all its chilling detail. The story they call the Bell Witch or Old Cape Bats. A story that still has paranormal researchers debating its true nature. It all began in 1817. John Bell Sr., a prosperous farmer, moved with his large family from North Carolina to the Red River Valley in Robertson County, Tennessee. He settled in the Adams community, buying a plot of land and a spacious house from a woman named Kate Batts. And here is the first detail worth noting. According to one version of the story, during the transaction, John Bell cheated Kate Batts. Maybe he shortchanged her, maybe he misled her. And this woman, known throughout the county for her nasty temper, cursed him and his family. John Bell's affairs were going well. He was a successful planter, he had a wife, Lucy, and 8 children. But the peace didn't last long. Strange things started happening outside first. John saw a bizarre creature, a cross between a dog and a rabbit, with the body of a hound and the head of a hare. He shot at it, but the creature vanished. His son Drew saw a massive bird sitting on a fence, which flew away as he approached. His daughter Betsy watched a little girl in a green dress swinging from an oak branch. An enslaved man named Dean told of being followed by a huge black dog in the evenings when he went to see his wife. But the worst was yet to come. Soon, the activity moved inside the house. Imagine this. You wake up at night to the sound of something gnawing on the legs of your bed. You hear sounds of invisible dogs fighting, the rattling of chains across the floor. Bedclothes are pulled off, and sleepers are awakened by slaps from invisible hands that also pull their hair. This wasn't just noise. This was systematic terror. The entity would pinch and prick the children with pins, especially Betsy, who became its main target alongside her father. John Bell began experiencing strange health problems, a paralyzed tongue, facial twitching, convulsions. The family turned to their friend, James Johnston, for help. He agreed to spend the night to witness the phenomena firsthand. That same night, Johnston woke up to the same sounds, the same touches from invisible hands. In the morning, he told John Bell, "It's a spirit. Just like in the Bible." Rumors of the cursed house spread throughout the region. People came from far away to see the witch. And then something happened that transformed this story from merely scary to truly unique. The entity spoke. At first, there was whistling, whispering, and then, a distinct voice. It came from empty space, from the walls, from the ceiling. When asked, "Who are you and what do you want?" the voice replied, "I am a spirit. I was once happy, but I have been disturbed." Later, the voice became more specific. It declared, "I am Old Cape Bats, a witch, and I will haunt and torment old John Bell as long as he lives." And that was just the beginning. The witch proved to be incredibly talkative. She knew everything about everyone. She could repeat sermons being given simultaneously in churches miles away. She gossiped about the neighbors, told them what was happening in other houses, and seemed able to instantaneously transport herself anywhere. One of Johnston's sons decided to test the witch's abilities. He asked what his Dutch grandmother in North Carolina would say to her slaves when she thought they'd done something wrong. The witch answered in his grandmother's voice, complete with her accent, saying in Dutch-inflected English, "What's happened here?" An Englishman who had come to see the marvel doubted the authenticity of the phenomenon. That night, the witch woke him with the voices of his parents back in England, worrying about him. The Englishman left at dawn and later wrote to the Bell family, saying the voices of his parents continued to manifest even in England, and he begged forgiveness for his skepticism. The rumors reached Andrew Jackson himself, the future President of the United States, known then as a decisive and unyielding military leader. He decided to visit the Bell farm personally and deal with the entity. Jackson brought along a man who claimed to be an exorcist and a group of seasoned hunters. As soon as they approached the farm, their wagon stopped dead in its tracks. The wheels refused to turn, as if someone was holding them. An invisible voice declared, "We'll meet tonight, General." One of Jackson's men, the self-proclaimed ghost hunter, decided to test his silver weapon. He fired at the spot the voice was coming from. In response, he received such a slap from an invisible force that he was literally thrown from the room. Jackson, according to witnesses, later said, "I'd rather fight a whole British army than deal with this witch." He left the farm, having failed to overcome the spirit. The witch tormented John's daughter, Betsy, more than anyone. When a young man named Joshua Gardner began courting her, the spirit flew into a rage. In company, the witch would make such crude and insulting comments about Betsy and Joshua that the girl would run to her room in tears and lock herself in. The witch declared that this marriage would never happen. And she did everything to make it a prophecy. She haunted the couple everywhere. During their dates, she would appear and ruin every moment. Finally, under the pressure of this invisible persecution, Betsy broke off the engagement. The witch had won. One day, John Bell, driven to despair, saw a pale, translucent silhouette in the corner of the parlor. He grabbed a sword and, with a cry of "I'll destroy you, spawn of hell," lunged to strike the apparition. Of course, he didn't harm the spirit, but he certainly angered it. The witch then focused entirely on the family patriarch. Each day, John Bell's attacks grew stronger. The planter's face would contort with convulsions, twisting into horrible grimaces. His tongue refused to work. He couldn't eat or speak. In 1820, during a walk with his son, the witch repeatedly pulled the shoes from John's feet. Weakened and then struck with a powerful blow by the spirit, John sat down on a fallen log and wept. The witch had broken the will of this once strong, confident man. Shortly after this incident, John fell into a coma. It was discovered that the witch had replaced his medicine bottle with a vial of some suspicious liquid, which he had apparently taken. The family's panic was compounded by the spirit's declaration that old man Bell wouldn't live much longer. The doctor who arrived decided to test the witch's medicine on a handy cat. The cat. A few hours later, on December 19, 1820, the planter died. John Bell became the first person in history whose death was attributed to supernatural forces. But even after death, the spirit had its fun tormenting poor John. During the funeral, the air was filled with the witch's piercing screams and raucous songs. It sang drunken tavern tunes right through the burial service, crowing, "I did it! He'll never get up again." A few months after John's death, the family was sitting at the dinner table. Suddenly, a terrifying crash shook the room, and a cannonball fell into the fireplace, exploding instantly. After this dramatic entrance, the witch's voice rang out. "I'm leaving now, but expect me back in 7 years." The witch kept its word. In 1828 it returned. It appeared to John Bell Jr. and revealed a great deal of fascinating information about future events, information that, it turned out, was prophetic, including details about the wars of the 19th and 20th centuries. Then the spirit announced it was leaving, promising to return in 107 years. but pledging it would no longer torment the descendants of the Bell family. And it kept its word again, returning in 1935, though not to the house, but to a nearby cave, which is still called the Bell Witch Cave today. Visitors to the Bell Witch Cave and its surroundings still encounter a multitude of strange phenomena. They might hear the voices of children playing inside the cave, or see a woman hovering above the ground. The most common manifestations are captured in photographs taken in or near the cave. Some claim that if you approach the cave at night, you can see lights gliding over the fields and dancing in the hollow. Researchers still argue about this mysterious case. The fact is, the Bell Witch case had far too many witnesses to be a hoax or a fabrication. Richard, John Bell's son, even wrote a book about the spirit, titled Our Family Trouble.